Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to review Velette as a 5-star, and of course, I'll do a little bit of gameplay and let you know what I think about her. I'll also be discussing her sidekick, Gunce. But the most important question of all is
she hot or not?
Well, at first I wasn't attracted to her personality, but noticed that she's quite scantily clad, so yeah, she's hot. Alright, she can VC in. I only have the level 2 because you need to finish the story of the main story to get level 3. It does attack 5 times as well as deploy Thundering Stance. However, I don't see any reason you would VC her in. She is a 1-turn AF specialist. She also has the Lunatic, which is, I believe, the charge one, allowing extra hits when she hits. And she also has a unique ability, Zone Ability Amped, as well as minus 100% MP consumption for 1 turn. So just like Ultra Tuva, 0 MP farming. So first of all, she does have a preemptive Thunder magic attack on all enemies times 5 large, and deploys Thunder Zone and regens for 1500 and MP regen for 50. Now, if you cast this again, then it'll also awaken, and then it'll be 3000 and 100. So you do have to cast it twice if you do want the awakened, but at least it's all in one move instead of having to have 2 moves equipped. She does suffer quite a bit from 4 slot syndrome. Now, she has another move here that does a 5 times XL AoE magic attack, crit damage, and magic crit damage plus 30% for 5 turns, and also adds that multi-hit buff. Note that when she has the amped 50+, then the buff effect is going to be 60-60. And I'll talk about the amped ability a little bit more in some demonstrations later on in the video. Most of her moves do require an amped level of 50 above to really squeeze out the maximum damage from her. Note that she's also an all magic user. She is a hammer user though. So her other move here has some pretty useful 1-turn farming 0 MP. Remember that this will be 0 on the first turn, and it also is preemptive and inflicts stun, and does extra damage depending on how many enemies. So perfect against mobs. She also does have a poison and pain setting move. No need for that. You should have other units on your team able to do so, or use some Grasta as appropriate to set it. So you can see her main DPS is the Minis Astrafi. So this is a Thunder Magic AoE times 4 XL. Guarantees crit rate for the whole party. Also, all her attacks, even though they're magic based, are power based. So it is not int based for her. And note that when, again, amped is over 50, strength increased 15, and all enemies thunder type res down 50% stackable to 100. So in all her different moves, she can essentially give her whole party thunder damage up 100, thunder resist down 100, as well as some other things. Gunce, on the other hand, also helps you with Elemental Break Thunder for 3 stacks on all enemies, and can give you type shields up 15%, stackable up to 5 turns for a total of 45 if you get all 5 stacks. And in Thunder Zone, it'll give you 2 charges instead of 1. And at 5 charges, you can activate the Thunder Magic Attack AoE times 10 XL. The strength of most attacks from the sidekicks aren't very powerful. However, it does allow all your Thunder units to get Lunatic Charge. And so I didn't demonstrate that too much, unfortunately. However, that allows everyone who hits will get an extra small hit as well. So you're going to get lots of extra hits out there, which will help charge up the amped. But really, the key, or the ability I think is the best, is her aura, I guess. When your AF gauge is empty, your party's stats are up by 20%. Now, if you have used AS Yifa before, you'll know how powerful boosting stats as a raw basis can do for your team. This one doesn't do 100%, it only does 20%, but it is to your whole team, and there's no real ability to measure that, but it is awesome nonetheless. So pretty standard Grasta setup, and you can see her 5-star board. Now, remember, we don't have any Thunder sharing Grasta yet, only Hammer Grasta at this point for Velette, unfortunately. So, let's take her out for a spin. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. Alright, so right off the bat, we're going to do some mob clearing. You can actually use any of her moves to clear mobs technically, since it's 0 MP for the first turn. Thunder damage in general, even with the multi-hits, don't have a lot of damage just because most mobs are not weak to thunder. If anything, they resist thunder damage for the most part, especially some of the older content out there. So as a element, thunder is considered a relatively niche element. However, when you do need thunder, Velette would be a very powerful zone setter for you. I know Camouflage is a new one, and ESMU and Orlea are still there, and Orlea and her work really well together, which I'll show you as well. Also, note that I did not demonstrate her VC coming in for 5 hits, because, again, you have 0 MP farming right off the bat. There's usually no need to VC her in. I mean, I'm sure in some niche strategies you can, and keep in mind that when she VCs in, she does hit for 5 hits, as well as re-establish Thunder Zone. So if she does get kickbacked or something like that, I'm sure you can use that. I'm just going to switch that move back because I used her farming one, which by the way is preemptive and stuns, okay? Does even more damage on the first 3 turns. So usually how she would set up is start with preemptive zone. Now note it is not awakened, and then she'll just give herself the boost, which is obviously power, int, and speed. And then finally she's going to slap it down with the Minas Astrafi. Pretty easy stuff. Alright, so in our next example, we're just going to go take her solo so you can see the power of Gunce in combination with Velette. So generally I would set up with her zone setting move. Again, don't ask me to pronounce them, they're pretty tough. So once we have that active, you can see that her buddy did apply the elemental break thunder. And note that I didn't talk about Exousia, which is her main buff move. It gives mental focus as well as in Thunder Zone 100% power, int, and speed, and thunder damage 100%. So it is crazy stuff. Outside of Thunder Zone, it only gives 50-50-50. Okay. Now in this case, I did activate Lunatic with the button, which gives the charge Lunatic. That means that for every hit, you get an extra hit as well. Technically, if I activated Gunce first, Gunce will awaken a zone for you, and again, not only that, would have added the Lunatic charge to her. So you actually don't need to activate her if you're planning to do non-AF strats or happen to have Gunce with all 5 charges. After that, you're just going to be blasting away with her Minas Astrafi because that one applies Thunder Res down 50, which is stackable up to 3, and you'll still have the benefits of all the other buffs that she has. So one thing about her is definitely her buffs are a lot stronger than Orlea's. However, Orlea does have that 50-50-50 triple debuff that she does not have. So offensively minded individuals will definitely enjoy using Velette. I mean, you do have a little bit of type res benefit with the Gunce. However, it takes up to 5 turns to stack 45%, which you'll probably be dead by then if you haven't already won the game. Now that being said, in this case, we are going to do a 1-turn AF against some of the older, weaker dual Hachos. One thing to note is that because it actually takes time for the zone to set up, you have to actually delay your AF. So you press the button to start the zone, then you wait for the zone symbol to kind of show up, and then you press Scintillating Spirit to change everyone's elemental attacks to thunder, and then you spam away and apply as many buffs you can. It takes quite the complex AF piano. And note that we are combining her with Alter Alulu, and with her end of turn attack from Alter Alulu, it did capped damage as 2 point whatever billion. So pretty impressive stuff. I mean, we have some of the ultimate offensive buffers here with AS Nakoko as well as ES Claude on our team. Remember that Alter Alulu requires at least 3 slash units in the front line to really start giving her some benefits for some of her moves. They all do depend on the number of slash moves used and things like that too. So watch my 5-star review on Alter Alulu if you want to know more about her. But in this case, you definitely don't need to use Alter Lulu only in Water Slash. She was changed in element, and her end of turn attack was more than adequate to clear out the enemies with 2 billion damage. Of course, that really helps that Velette applied 100% Thunder type damage up, 100%, Thunder res down, and so on and so forth. So some pretty crazy stuff with crit damage up from ES Claude and so on and so forth. Alright, in our second example, we're going to switch it up here. Note that I do have a different sidekick up front instead of Gunce. We have Kumos, and the reason for that is against the dual Hachos, we do have MP drained by the Yasuzumi, so we need some MP recover. But don't forget that by casting the preemptive zone setting move from Velette, you do get a regen of 1500 plus an MP recovery of 50 on top of any other benefits you have from other things. Note that also when we have AF gauge empty, all our stats are boosted by 20%. It's an aura, so you can't see it on our own team, but you know that stats plus 20% means a lot more damage, some extra defense, and so forth. Remember, it increases your power, your int, your speed, all of that, and that's on top of capped moves from her buff Exosia. In this case, Neptune became Thunder Neptune. Remember that AS Nakoka can change anyone to any elemental move, and Scintillating Spirit is preemptive. In the case of using two preemptive moves, the preemptive move of the unit that has a higher base speed will generally win out. And so in this case, we are not using any preemptive moves after turn 1. And so Scintillating Spirit will continue to be first. We apply Thunder Break or Thunder Res down, and then we just shredded it to oblivion. So there's a lot of ways to play around with Velette on a team, especially if you have access to AS Nokoko. And to be fair, we all got a free Nokoko if we chose Nokoko, and you can use 5 treatises to side grade her. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun here. Obviously, this is not the optimal setup because Garyu by himself probably could have blown away the dual Hachos. They are weak to fire, and so playing around with Thunder really wasn't the most fun. However, it's more to just demonstrate a proof of concept that you can even do a Thunder Flam, Thunder Neptune if you want to. And of course, Nagi ES is our perfect Grasta carrier for Neptune, aka Flam. Alright, in our third example, we're going to combine the two Thunder Zone setters together at once. And if you're wondering why, both Orlea and Velette do suffer from 4-slot syndrome, where they're best served if they can have all 4 moves. Because the one has attack and zone setting and so on and so forth. So in this case, use Orlea to set zone, and then you can use Velette to set other buffs as well as a Exodia boost to kind of give everyone the capped power in speed and so on and so forth. Note that we also cast the Katagaya thing, which is I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, which gives everyone multi-hit extra. Now, to be fair, it should awaken zone first and then apply buffs. So if you're able to be more technically sound than I am in playing around with the AF, awaken zone first and then apply your buff, because in that case the multi-hit one does give crit damage 60% for magic and physical users up if you have an awakened zone. Otherwise it's only 30%. Also, you can reapply the buff if you really have time later on, because really once you get enough charges during the Thunder AF in Thunder Zone, the AF bar charges 10% instead of 7.5% like other elements. So in AF is where Thunder Zone really shines. One other thing I didn't mention about the enhanced zone, you see a number there, right? The number is equal to 1% extra damage per number. So max is 99, which means on top of an enhanced or awakened Thunder Zone, which is 1.6 times, 160% damage instead of actually no, sorry. Yes, normal zone is just extra damage by 30%, right? For Thunder. If you awaken it, it's actually 60% more. That if you get 99 on top, it's 99% on top of the 60% in the awakened zone. So that's essentially 159% bonus damage, and that's on top of all the other damage and cap buffs and debuffs you can have on your team. So when having the amped up charge using Thunder Zone, and she's the only one who can do it so far, you're essentially doubling your damage for the most part. I mean, a 1-turn AF should get you really close to 100% or 100 charges or stacks. And then it does remove it by 15% per turn or 15 charges per turn. But I mean, each Thunder unit each probably hits for at least 4 or 5 hits. And if you have activated the charged Lunatic either manually or using Gunce, you're going to have multi-hits each and every time, because every hit allows an extra small hit as well in with the thunder hit. And so that's going to allow you to charge your AF a little bit faster, as well as enhance your damage. And so my initial review of her in my Should You Summons, I feel that she's going to allow you to win harder if you haven't already won with Thunder Zone. And I do believe that this does confirm my suspicion. You could already win with Orlea for the most part. You're just winning even harder with Velette. Now, in our final example, we haven't seen Velette's true DPS potential. After she's got 50 charges on her zone, so amped up plus 50 or more, and again, 1 turn AFs are easy peasy to get that done. So you got cast the Exosia, which you can see, and then you get all the buffs from RCF and Nokoko. In this case, it's Nokoko normal style. We got 60 something, and you're already seeing. Watch the damage that we can see from her main damage. It's hundreds of millions, and don't forget, if she activates Lunatic as well, you can get extra damage on top. Crazy stuff. Note that she's not even active for Lunatic. Just keep that in mind. I just did it as is, and that was more than enough. Her other, I can see that, Orlea is activated, but I didn't cast Velette, and that's honestly because as I was experimenting, sometimes you run out of time when doing the AF, and so you can clearly see even without that, remember that just gives extra hits, which will allow you to keep that amped charge higher. Because we're over 50 anyways, I mean, look at the hit. Dead. And remember, we also have Gunce applying at least 3 stacks of elemental, break for Thunder. Not to mention, like I said, if you get a large AF, her own DPS move will apply up to 100% type res down. Now, this enemy has 90% type res up, so you just apply extra type res down with RCF, and that does help you even more. Okay, so there was a lot to cover. Sorry if I kind of missed a few things, but Velette is an extremely powerful unit. If you don't have a Thunder Zone setter, she is going to be the premier Thunder Zone setter. If you have Orlea, you can use them together, and honestly, she makes your Thunder team way better, not including Gunce having the awesome aura on top. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.